I'm Camilo Rebelo. I'm a Portuguese architect. I studied in Porto. I was born in Porto, and these brands of Porto that are world known is port wine, football, and architecture. I'm happy because I'm also a great football fan, and I love to drink port wine. So the only one missing is I had to go for architecture. Since kid, I like to draw, to do compositions. I have a lot of drawings, from my childhood. But in fact, there was another field of research which I loved. It was biology. I was 12, 13 years old. I started to be more orientated towards arts. I loved to see spaces and buildings and historical buildings and all these. In Portugal, I was in German college. I loved the German school, but the German school in the last 2 years was not so orientated to architecture. Moved into a Portuguese high school. I was very lucky because my first serious approaches to architecture was in the Portuguese high school. What surprised me most in the faculty of architecture in Porto with 18 years old was the obsession of the drawing. The methodology of the school, which still is today, is to draw, and to draw in all types of levels. The obsession of the drawing in all its dimensions, from color to composition to simple sketches. This was really a new universe. To relate this ability with the production of and the construction of ideas. I still have my sketchbook always next to me because the sketchbook is very, very important. It's always, registering and capturing at the same time. So it's, in one hand brings information to the brain, and the brain brings with the other hand back to the drawing hand. From the first day I opened the office, I'm not a copy-paster. We are driven by creating. The second thing that it was very clear to me within this spirit that we are creating is always to create, even if it's only a little step, something that contributes to architecture. An architect has to be a positive person, individually and collectively, because we work with teams. So the office has teams, we have teaming engineering, we have team landscapers, and this spirit of being constructive, Ryan, it's very important. If someone in the team starts to be, full of doubts and weakening up the process, etc., it becomes a shaky project. And for example, the Coa Museum, it was a competition that we won, and the jury gave us the first prize because they considered it an outstanding approach to relate architecture and nature. Again, we go back to the beginnings. I'm a passionate lover from biology. The Coa Valley project is double protected as world in heritage. It's in heritage because of the landscape, and it's in heritage because of the Paleolithic art engravings. And there is a big responsibility, because if you are doing a museum that it's going to be the landmark for a region that has a double classified in heritage, world in heritage, it means that you have to have a serious compromise. When we excavated the hole to start to build, we took half of the mountain away. So imagine the amount of doubts that the architects had, that I had, the amounts of problems that we had to solve to make a piece that is considered by the jury as a highly integrative piece within that spirit. When it comes to Katima, the clients wanted a very big villa. And we realized that we had two problems. One, we were building in a valley, which is very difficult because you have to have the view towards the ocean. But on the other hand, they wanted something very big. So it's very visible. If you do a straight line in this valley, it means a bridge with 200 meters long. So again, how can you integrate, a 200-meter long villa facing the views? So what we did, imagine you have this 200-meter long train, we cracked the wagons. And why this? Because there is a regulation in Greece that says that each volume should not be longer than 10 meters. So imagine you have wagons of 10 meters, and we started to play and adapt them into the valley, and it became like an amphitheater. The other part of the story is the heat in the summer is very intense, but we have also a very refreshing wind. 90% is built underground, so it's cooled by the earth itself. And then we left all the windows open towards shafts in the back. The house is cooled down by nature itself, by the wind itself. We spend a lot of time measuring the wind direction, the wind strength. This is our goal, is always to do an architect that is, energetically powerful in the sense of little consumption, also using nature and the nature processes to make part of what we are conceiving. I loved all the projects we did. We did a very nice small project, 21 square meters in the mountains of Switzerland. It's called Egg. It's an exhibition room, but most of it's a meditation room. It's for your rebirth. So you go there and you can stay there and you can, breathe in and breathe out, and you come out a different person. We have other projects that I'm very happy from producing it, from the Port Wine Museum in the city of Porto, a house we are doing in the south that is it's magic because it has a double shelf. The interior shelf, they have an air cushion in between, and like these, when it's cold outside, it doesn't go inside, and when it's warm outside, it doesn't go inside. So the air cushion in the middle balances the continuous temperature of the inside without any, no air condition, no heating system, nothing. So we have many projects that I can tell you that we are very proud of being part of their creation. But in fact, we are always hoping for the next one. I'm very passionate from the past ones, but I'm always driven, what can we do next? We don't live in the past. We learned with the past, but it's always to put our knowledge from the past to serve the future and the new demands. I use an expression that sometimes in architecture is not very welcomed. I feel like I'm here and I'm spiritually bound with the planet and the universe. Together with these, I'm a very intuitive person. And then when it comes to a third thing, it comes to your subconscious and conscious. What our brain has as a conscious is very little. We are speaking about 3 to 6%. So imagine that you are a creative person and you are quite blocked in a level of 97%. For many years, 15 years or even more, I do many therapies to unblock and release my subconsciousness. As less blockage there is in your mindset, as more possibilities you have to relate improbable things. If you match A plus A and you know exactly what is A plus A, then it's just A plus A. If you match A plus Z and you don't know what is Z, but it's something that you are, then A plus Z are never going to be a known result. You have always to combine at least what is known with some unknown, because this is the real match. If both are known, it's closed ends. If both are unknown, it's okay. You have open hands, but it's more difficult to control. But for so far, I'm happy with known and the unknown. I started to teach when I was 27 years old, so very, very young. And I taught in many universities. I taught in Porto University almost for 14 years. I taught in Lausanne in Switzerland for 4 or 5 years. I taught in Mendrisio 1 year. I taught in Italy for the last 7 years, in Pamplona as well, and also in Shanghai. So I had these immense opportunities to teach in many countries. But mostly what I bring to my students are my office concerns, because I think they have already a very steady academia. One of my favorite books is Steve Jobs' biography. Jobs went to the university. He was a quite freelancer when it came to the university. And I fully understand what he did, because in the academia, there are fantastic things. which has to do with knowledge, with the logic that is systematized, well archived, well processed. And this is very important for a formation of a student. But also, in the case of Stephen Jobs, and in a way also I apply the things in the office. Also, you have to connect to the world and to the constant current, the constant stream. Universities, because they are within this process of layering, sometimes they don't have the capacity and the flexibility and the speed to adapt to the reality. I think if you bring your hand from your office, from your worries, from your world perception, and then if you plug in also with academia, then you are very balanced. And the students, I think they love that. It's again what you know and what you don't know. So again, we are playing with this. I only see advantage to be an architect because I'm always partnering. I have always associates. I'm always associated to my engineers. I have a very serious team of engineers from the most high quality of Portugal and world. Of course, there is Camilo Rebelo, but it's Camilo Rebelo with many associates and partners from engineering to architects, always with this spirit of teaming up and partnering, association, debate. Otherwise, I think I would stand still. I'm not interested in standing still. This depends very much on the season we are. If I'm teaching abroad, if I'm not teaching abroad. Of course, if I'm not teaching, I like to work at night. It's not good for my family, but I really, really love to work at night. So I would say my day starts the day before. Maybe this looks a bit anxious about the future, but I would say my first hours of the day are normally in between 11 and 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock from the day before. In the morning, I'm quite messy. Mornings are not my thing because I worked at night the night before. I go to the office, I stay in the office, during the rest of the morning, and in the afternoon, I go again to the office. So the day is quite simple in a way. I don't have any excitement, so to say. It's the excitement of being sketching and drawing, etc. in the office and checking models. We work a lot of models with rendering, but this is just a typical day in some period. For example, now I started my semester in Milano. So what is a typical day? I will going to be waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, taking the first plane at 6. I will be in Milano at 9, teaching in the late morning. I will be teaching all afternoon, stay one night over again. The next day, studio, discussing with all the students, coming back, flying back. There is not a typical day. And I think this is the exciting of being architect. I will give advice that was taught me by two masters. The first master was Oscar Niemeyer, the Brazilian architect, which I met. He was 90 years old. So almost a week before he did 100 years old. And he taught me one thing, is that if you want to be a great architect in the sense that you are, open to the world, have vision, producing a new step for architecture, you have to be an universal thinker. You have to be engaged with everything. You have to be able to go out for dinner, for a party, for whatever, to the beach, to eat, to drink, to see exhibitions, be steady and playful. I find this is very important, that you stay focused in your discipline, but our discipline needs the world. So you have to be very open and also very touchy for many different realities, cultures, trips, whatever. The second advice was given me by Álvaro Siza, the Pritzker Paris in Portugal, the oldest one. And it taught me once that time is the best architect. If you want to be really a great architect, you have to be able to let the projects go. You have to be yourself, open to understand in a fast way, in a long-term way. Architecture needs time. The architect needs time. Needs time to grow, time to find the right process. We cannot always be in a hurry. Of course, we hurry a lot. Many times we have schedules to deliver, deadlines, etc. But the perception of time is to be a perception that is quite open. It's like you expand present. If you live always in the past, is wrong. If you live always in the future, is wrong. Architects have to stretch the present and make the present bigger. And in that sense, time is very important, because you have really to plug in all this. Of course, I had so many advices in my life from not being too much conservative, because otherwise you are always being a classic in the approach of architecture, from think about abstraction and figurativism, etc. But from my experience, these two, you cannot be specialist in architecture. And the second, that time should be one of your best friends. Definitely, these are the ones that I forward for the future generations. I hope to see very steady architecture. It has to be a long-lasting architecture. The world cannot chop down trees and tear down mountains to build provisory. The world cannot handle. We cannot handle anymore. We are going to ruin all the world. So everything has to be done with very careful actions. On the other hand, I think the architecture has to be very efficient when it comes to energy. We have to find ways that our architecture lives within each context and extracts from its reality. If we are in the desert, we should not do a glass house. It's not efficient. Of course, you can say, oh, we put land around the glass house in the desert, 100 solar panels, and it's clean. Yeah, but what is the purpose to build and extract materials for 100 solar panels to drop down the temperature within a glass cube in the desert? If you have a glass house in the middle of the desert, you see sand. And this is not a surprise, because you are in the desert. So I think architecture has also to hold on with mystery, surprise, protection, shelter. I hope architecture goes towards this, a deeper conscious within the ecologic and energy efficiency. This is very, very important. We cannot continue to do so many architectures that are lasting very little. It's a serious thing. It's not a car, Otherwise, we will live in cars. We don't.